All right, a very good morning to all of you here from EBN TV. This is a Leadership Challenge show. I believe the morning live with Brian Alusa was a great time of information. And welcome again to our show that we discuss and converse around matters of leadership. And this is your leadership show here on EBN TV Live. I welcome you. We also welcome your comments and views concerning the matters that we offer for discussion this morning. In studio together with us is David Kamau Wamadhu.
Yes.
Welcome. This is a management strategist and is here to help us in our conversation this morning. And we just get it right away. Last time we were here, we talked about the inauguration and the coming into the office of the new president.
Yes.
And we want to start not very far from there and talk about the cost of living, because I think it is something that is very close in the fore of the minds of many Kenyans, and they are wondering when will the unga come down and when will the fuel go down. And we, in our conversation, we seek to know what are some of the things that the government and the new president is already employing to ensure that he is getting Kenyans out of this challenge.
Yes.
I don't know whether you know some of the strategies that have been put into place and if there is any movement on the part of the government.
Thank you very much, Reverend, for this opportunity again to speak to the viewers. It is always a joy.
Yeah.
In terms of the cost of living, I know it is quite a big subject.
Yes.
Which right now, I know many people have been challenging the government. Now that is there.
Yeah.
In terms of the cost of the living, I think that's one of the things they talked about within the 100 days. They will be able at least to have worked on something.
Yeah.
When the deputy president was speaking, he actually talked about the position that is in this country, the financial position.
Yeah.
And I think it is not a very easy thing, and what they are trying to do is not a quick fix.
Yeah.
Because you remember, like during the time of the campaigns, there is a time that they had tried to work with subsidies.
Yes.
But that subsidy did not work too well.
Yes.
And therefore, I know Kenyans expected that immediately they get into power, there will be pronouncement in terms of like the UGA is coming down at this magnitude.
Yeah.
But I believe they are using a different strategy in terms of sustainability.
Yes.
So they are not looking at a quick fix that you are going to do it today and then tomorrow again you are the same place.
Okay.
One of the things that they have done, and I think it has happened this week, is that they have started now distributing the fertilizer, which is at 3,500.
Yeah.
There is a wide range in terms of the fertilizer that is used. So there are some which is 1,700. So they have tried in that. I have seen quite a number of farmers. They have started receiving.
And they have confirmed that they are receiving?
Yes, they have confirmed they are receiving.
Okay.
And at that price. And listening to quite a number of farmers, they were saying that they had planted the crops without fertilizer.
Oh.
But right now, and you can see there is the short lanes, they are actually saying that that fertilizer is going to help them to be able at least to have good harvest.
Yeah.
So what the government is trying to do is actually to accelerate the production in terms of the food.
Okay.
And therefore, I think it's the right step. It's what they are doing is actually, it may take a bit of time.
Yeah.
And I am seeing as if it may take the next 2 to 3 months.
Yeah.
Because even if you have a crop which actually you have planted, some of them within those 3 months or 2 to 3 months, that's when the harvest is going to happen.
Yeah.
So I would only say that Kenyans should be a little bit patient.
Yeah.
There is something that is happening with the government, but it may not be immediate.
Yeah.
But I know once it is sorted out, it is going to be sorted out once and for all. The other issue is, again, there are strategies that they are looking into in terms of the harvesting water. Because what we have discovered is that sometimes what also affect production is in terms of the rains. You see, sometimes you cannot predict when the rain is going to come. And therefore, if we keep on waiting for the rain to come, it might also be a challenge. You have fertilizer, but you don't have water. So what most of the people, what the government is trying to do again is to have some strategies into the way they can now turn these farming and all that into irrigation. Because that irrigation is what is really going to help in terms of making us to be self-sufficient in terms of the food. Because the cost of living, one, it touches on food. Number two, there is the fuel, which is a big thing. And I think, as we had said even in the last discussion, this again, and it has been confirmed even from the world markets, that within the next 2 months, things are actually coming back to normal. And that's why we said to Kenyans last time we were here, there is quite some hope. So they should not really see that the prices have gone up right now. It is actually something which is coming down within a short time. It may not get to where we used to be long time ago, but I believe that we'll be able to see the prices coming down in quite a big way because of the world market, what is happening. And I think now what has the government has done even to remove the subsidies is that they have bring now the market demands. You know, now because the price is supposed to be determined by the market forces. But there before, as we had seen, it was being controlled by some few multinationals. And therefore, it was very difficult to say whether you can regulate the price or not. And therefore, the other thing is forming the government, which has actually taken a bit of time in terms of cabinets and such things. I believe once the cabinet is in place, you'll also be able to see when they start having their meetings in parliament, they are able also to change in terms of the formula, especially for fuel. You know, it can only be changed at the parliament. And therefore, once they get into motion, I believe that even the formula will be changed, and that one will also be able to bring down the cost. So I believe there is quite some number issues.
You know, many Kenyans have not understood how subsidies work. And I thought it was a good time that on this program we explain to Kenyans how a subsidy works, because to some they still feel like government is not doing the right thing by removing subsidy, and they don't know really the dynamics of subsidy. And you know, a government that wants a quick fix will go for subsidy. And then there is also, you know, making sure things are balanced at the market playing ground. And I think you can take some time and explain to these dear Kenyans who want to know, is the government helping us when it gives subsidy, or it is killing us when it gives us subsidy?
Now, in terms of the subsidy, again, it is one area where many people have not understood
how it works.
And that's why, if you remember, in terms of when the president was being sworn in, one of the statements that he said is that they cannot give subsidy to fad consumption. And that is the danger. If, for example, you borrow some money for only funding the consumption and you are not producing, what you are doing is you are putting yourself into a hole, because you are borrowing money and within some few months that money has been depleted and there is nothing else which has been produced. So what will happen is that you'll always be in the cycle of borrowing. And that's why if you look at the government, it is not even the government of Kenya that is pushing actually more in terms of removing the subsidy. The IMF, and they actually support a lot in terms of even this country and other, in financing and other countries. They are the ones actually who are saying we cannot be financing your consumption. Because if we continue like that, what will happen is that you will always be in a hole. So what the government is trying to do is, number one, that money for subsidy, what happens? It is you are taxed, I am taxed. So it is my money which is going to some few people. And therefore what will happen is that in terms of the Kenyans, you are not better when you are actually being taxed to pay some few multinational
to supply
to you and actually to consume, like now to try and
give you
reduce
consumer
it.
goods.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what we are saying is that the government right now, there is a big hit, but I think it is the best way that they are doing, because they are saying, well, there is no need of taxing the Kenyan people to give money out when we are not producing, because without production, I can tell you, Leverett, there is no way you'll be able to get out of the hole.
So actually subsidy is a way to keep people in perpetual poverty and,
correct.
and debt.
Correct, that is the thing.
So is really a way to...
It is actually, and it is a way that we should avoid, because Kenyan, you cannot be right now, how many trillion are we talking about, the Kenyan?
Yes.
So we are actually already in a big hole, and we keep on getting into that big hole.
Yes.
So at one particular time, you have to get out of that position.
So Kenyans really have to understand.
Yes, they have.
Because they may say, Ruto promised that things will change, and then he has removed the subsidy.
Yeah.
So the Kenyans should understand this is time to get out of the hole.
Yes, that is what exactly.
And this is the only way.
Yes, yes. Actually, this other way of subsidy, it is not sustainable.
Oh.
And therefore, even if we continue doing like that, it is like now. In fact, it is. Let me give an example for Kenyans to understand. If I have your debt,
yes,
and I go to another person, I borrow so that I pay your debt.
Yes.
And I keep on doing like that. What I am doing is that I am not helping myself.
Yes.
I am always going to be in debt because I am borrowing to pay you. Then after that, I don't have money.
Yes.
I go and borrow another time. So you can see the way we are saying we are not creating wealth.
Yeah.
What we are doing, we are living in poverty, which is not good. So I think it is a hard time, and Kenyans should understand it is not good for us to be at the same place all the time. So it is good that we get out of these issues and we start producing.
And again, also, if you are financing consumption,
yes,
when will you not need ugali?
That is the thing.
So that keeps you
constantly
in perpetual debt.
And that is what the government
and I think Kenyans really need to understand this very well. I want you to mention something about what the central governor, the central bank governor said, I think yesterday, but one, that in the world market, prices of fuel are falling. So I really would want to hear some deeper explanation what is really happening out there, and for that reprieve to come to us and arrive here in Kenya, because it may happen there, but it will take some time to arrive here, because we are really looking at our earliest time of reprieve. Yes.
Now, that's what we had said in terms of, you know, in the whole world, this was a crisis in terms of fuel. Not only Kenya, you know exactly what is happening. Ukraine, Russia, and all that. All those things, they affect in terms of the production. And when you see that the country, there is peace, and when you see things are working, what happens is that the sourcing of the raw materials, it becomes a little bit cheaper and easier. So what Kenya is doing, so that we are not going to be left behind, is that one of the strategies that they have done in terms of the government is that in terms of sourcing, they have actually changed. They are trying to change on how they are going to source the products. Because you see, sometimes, I think before, the Kenyan government used actually to source through the brokers. It is something that you can actually confirm. So they were not going directly
to buy from the producers.
So what now is happening right now, it's actually getting the right places that we are going not to have the middleman, because the prices actually becomes higher all the time because
of the middleman.
Because they have to put their margin and many other costs.
What will happen if the government or the appointed importers are allowed to import directly without a middleman?
And
is there any problem?
And that is, in fact, you see, that is exactly now where we are headed, whereby there is a free market. In the sense that you can be able to buy as long as you are regulated. You are able to import. And now when you are able to import, it becomes easier, because there before, there were only some few people who could be able to import. But right now, if you regulate like 20 people who can import, they are allowed at least now to import, and that is where we started by saying, by allowing the market to be that way, you find the prices definitely will come down.
To help us to understand, like for example, explain the chain to us. We know if fuel is crude oil is produced in Saudi Arabia. Explain the chain to us, and maybe if help us to understand how many importers are there. Are the importers as many as the brokers, or there are few importers and many brokers? Or how is it looking like?
Let me say that the importers, especially now in our country, the one who were there before, they are not very many.
They are not many.
They are not many.
Yes.
But the issue is coming in, even those importers, there is actually another process where you are getting that for them, they are not, let's say for example, you are the one who is giving the low products.
Yes.
They are not even the ones who are going now to you. There is another person here. They may be few also again, another middleman here, who is actually now, you are giving the order to the middleman to get to the source.
Okay.
So what is happening, and that's why, if you listen to the speech for the president, one of the, when he was removing the subsidy, he said, one of the big reasons is because we cannot be benefiting
just
some few multinationals. Yes. And that is exactly what he is saying. They may even be 5 middlemen who are here. But they are the people who are actually benefiting. Them, they are making money, but Kenyans are actually paying for higher costs.
Yes.
And therefore, this person who is in here, and it's not only for fuel, even in terms of the mila, you know, in terms of exporting. And that is the scenario we are in Kenya. There are so many middlemen in terms of what we do. Yes. And those are the people who are actually making the costs and the operations to be very difficult. And that's why the government is getting to a point and saying, wow, we are going to do it. It is not going to be easy even to break those cartels. But it requires somebody who is so much determined to say, these few cartels, these few people who are making us not to get things at the right price, we must do away with them.
Okay, now let's, before we wind up, we have like around 3 minutes to take a short break, but let us try to see the direction the new president you think will take when it comes to debts. Because the country has really overborrowed, and sometimes it's painful and really to Kenyans to know that even what is borrowed, it does not go directly to projects. Some of it, you know, there's wastage and looting. Which direction do you think the new president will take? And is it good to borrow? And if then it is good to borrow, how do we use what we have borrowed?
That's a very great question, Reverend. And one, borrowing is not bad.
Borrowing is not bad.
It is not bad.
Okay.
It is how you manage what you borrow.
Yes.
If you look at most of the Kenyans, they are actually also borrowing.
Yes.
Either from government
or from
many other sources.
Wherever,
Yes, they are borrowing. So the question is, when you borrow, what happens? Do you put it into something that is going to be more productive, which is going to put more extra coins in your pocket? So one of the challenges that we have is that we have borrowed, but we have put the money into what we call white elephant in terms of the projects. There are projects which sit there. They are not completed, so they are not generating anything. And that is one of the wastage that we are finding in the country right now.
Yes.
That there are so many projects which were started, money got stuck, but there is nothing that is continuing. And therefore what happens is that, again, we don't have the capacity to pay the debts. And because you are not really producing something to change your things, what will happen again is the cycle of keeping on borrowing. So what is happening with this government? Number one, there is something that they have said, that they are not going to concentrate too much on capital intensive projects.
Yes.
which are like the long term. They are saying, look, there are some few projects where the contractors have not been paid. So if you hear their big subject is that they want, first of all, to pay the people, if the varied bills, the people who are continuing the project, so that they can get back to the project they are doing, and they complete those projects, and those projects, they start now generating something. That is one thing that he realized, that projects which were actually feasible project, they will be paid, people will be paid, and when these projects are completed, now you find that the weight is not going to be too heavy. Number two, they have committed not to, first of all, take other new projects before they have been able to solidify and to bring these other projects into completion. So I know the government, the current government, does not want really to spend a lot of money on those other projects. There are several key areas that they are looking, and it is actually the production. They are looking at how can we enable every other person to produce. And that's why you have had like the current president saying one of the things that he will do. Number one, he has said that he is going to make sure he give the fund that he talked about, the hustler fund. And that fund, it is actually from the bottom that it is going to help, because if they get that fund, what will happen is that even the issues we are talking about, the cost of living, you'll find that people will start generating, so they will not feel a lot of pain. Because if, for example, you have a market, because the market is there, like now the way we say, you have a cow, you are producing some milk. So if, for example, you are able to continue to get an extra cow or something like that, what does that mean to you? You are able, if the market is guaranteed, what will happen is that you'll be able to start increasing in terms of your income. So I believe that one is happening. And the number three, because I know we don't have a lot of time, number three is the issue to do with corruption. One of the good things I have seen is that even if it is not a lot of money, the good sign in terms of he wants to empower the independent institutions, which include even judiciary. And therefore, the first thing that he did is actually to say, I am going to increase the money to the judiciary in the tune of 3.5 billion. So this money, they are supposed to recruit even more people, judges and lawyers who are supposed actually to make the cases to go very faster. Because they are saying, and it is amazing, Reverend, do you know the cases that we have, there is a lot of money that is sitting in courts. The money that was paid in terms of cash bills, and many other monies, that money, once you actually calculate the whole thing, it is several billions which are sitting in court. And they can sit in court even for 10 years because the case are not being determined. So what they want is actually make sure that the judges are there, they are able to listen, very fast dispense, and the money is released to the economy.
Circulation,
So those are some of the strategies which are making, and this is actually going to make things to be better.
All right. Wow. And I believe you are getting to understand right now where we are as a country, and what the new government is trying to do to turn around things for the well-being of the common Kenyan. We are taking a short break. We will be right back. Don't go very far.
EBN TV brings you Divine Hour. We are transforming the world through the Word of God. Pastors, evangelists, apostles, and teachers of the gospel, a platter in its own right. Be encouraged, enlightened, and enlivened. Join us every Monday to Wednesday from 6 to 6:30 p.m. live on EBN TV.
Are you a church, institution, or an individual looking to make your events, services, or commemorations memorable by capturing it on video or streaming on various platforms? EBN TV offers video production, streaming, documentary production, and scripting services. Get in touch with our sales team on 0740-653-453 or 0713-492-865 or 0721-936-847. This is EBN TV, transforming your world.
You are not a mzee because your age says 60 or 70 or 80.
Yes.
You are mzee because Kalonzo has been around from 1985.
Yes.
Ruto has been around from 1992.
Yes.
They are the same age.
Biggest problem in Kenya right now, if you ask me,
Wow.
is not just, that we have problems, but that we have problems with a more enlightened church that is doing absolutely nothing.
But guess what? I don't know whether she won or not, but she did win she's not the governor of Kirinyaga.
Join Reverend Felix Kavoi on the Leadership Challenge show every Friday from 7:30 a.m. Candid, bold, and insightful conversations.
From Nairobi, Kenya. This is EBN TV.
All right, we carried on the conversation here about what is happening in the new government, and Kenyans are waiting with bated breath so that they can see the cost of living going down. And with us to help us in this conversation is a specialist in strategic management, David Kamau Wamadhu.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Again, that we continue. And before we went for break, we were talking about some of the things that are short terms that are being fixed by the government to ensure that market forces come into play.
Yes, yes.
Let's talk a little bit about wastage, because you have said borrowing is not bad. And when you talk about wastage, there is a story that I think I've seen it doing rounds, that we are spending 4 million in a day for the last 1 year or so. And it comes to a lot of money, and Kenyans cannot imagine some of these things have happened. And also now the overpricing of our projects. For example, if now you recall, and I think it has been said in many places, that the first quotation of the expressway was 17 billion.
Yes,
then
yes.
it was maybe upgraded to something like 30 something
Yes,
billion, but it has ended up with 87 billion. And yet all this is debt that is coming to us. Let's help us to converse around government wastage. And don't forget that the MPs are demanding higher pay,
Yes,
and increased allowances and all that. As this government comes in, where do you see us breaking through when it comes to the wastage?
Well, the way you have noted and said, it is very true. There is a lot of wastage, and these are not rumors actually, because it is the budget controller, the auditors, they have actually come and they have said this is exactly what was happening.
Me, I read it, I think, on Twitter, but I think
it has been there actually, even confirmed, even in the news and such things, even in the newspapers.
Yes.
That there has been a lot of, it is actually like a spade thrift, in terms of people want just to spend.
Spending spree.
Yeah, and they don't care what really happens. And it is quite unfortunate. And that's why I say Kenya is endowed in terms of the resources, in terms of the monies. We have quite a lot.
Yeah.
And that's why we started by saying, actually even borrowing is not a problem. It is actually how you manage what you borrow.
Yeah.
If, for example, you find ministries who are being given money,
and
right now they are being told you have to account
before
even you do anything else. There is a lot of many things which were happening.
Yeah.
Money being released, not
Yeah.
really going to the right places. And that is on top of the president had said the former president has talked about 2 billion every other day being
Yeah.
lost in corruption.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, if you look at the way the corruption and the wastage has been in this country,
Yes.
it has also played a very big role in making us to be where we are. And I believe it is actually one of the things that we need to do. And
Yeah.
it is actually something this government must do. Is actually to be deliberate in terms of tackling corruption and this misuse.
Yeah.
They must be able to get to a point whereby they are going to be accountable to the Kenyans.
Yes.
Because this money that is being spent like that is money that is actually coming from our monies, the taxpayers' money. And therefore, some few people just going and doing whatever they want, it is not a good thing. And I would urge the current government that they must put their foot down and get to look at what is happening in every ministry. And that's why we need the cabinet secretaries
Yes.
in.
Yeah.
Because we need someone who is accountable. Right now, I looked at it, Leverett, and it is quite bad. You fight some of the CSs
Yeah.
who are in this other regime. They
Yeah.
are not even reporting to work. What they are saying is that the PS are the people who are supposed to be there. So who is actually now managing the
flow of the economy?
Yes, you
Yeah.
see, that is the thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there we have a gap. And that's why we would also say one of the things that really need to happen, and very fast,
Yes.
is that the government need to have their cabinets as soon as possible
Yes.
to be in operations.
Yes.
So that we'll have a point of accountability.
Yeah.
Because right now, without the accountability, what happens is that wastage is going to be there. Some of the people are in transition. They know that I'm not going to be in government again.
Yeah.
So if, for example, they know and they find money,
Yeah.
and you know most of the people, they lack the chapter 6 in our constitution, integrity. Most of the people don't have that integrity.
Yeah.
So they will misuse the monies the best they can.
Yeah.
And it is quite a bad thing. And therefore, this government, and I want to speak to the government of Kenya,
Yeah.
and being led by our president.
And this is the president
Yes.
and the deputy
And the
president.
yes, yes.
Yes.
They must go very fast
Yes.
in ensuring that the
They
cabinet,
have appointed the cabinet.
cabinet, yes, secretaries
Yes.
need to be in,
Yes.
and they really need to bring responsibility and accountability into every area of this country,
Yes.
so that we are not going to see this kind of misuse and
Yes.
wastage going on.
Okay.
Yes.
What do you think about the MPs talking about increasing their? Is this really the best time to talk about this?
It is not the best time, Leverett.
Yes.
But do they care? You see the attitude we have.
Yeah,
These
yeah.
guys, let me tell you, they don't care much about what you are getting, what is happening to you.
Yes.
They care about what comes to them. You know, some of them, it is their repay time.
Yeah.
It is their time to be paid for what they spent
They spend in
during
the
the
campaign
campaign.
trail. Yeah.
So you know what they are doing? They are actually looking at how much money did I spend and how can I get it back.
Yeah.
And that's why I know we will be dealing also with the CDF. That's where, for example, you'll find them fighting so much about the CDF,
Yeah.
because those are some of the areas where actually they make their money. And therefore, when like they are told that there are some allowances which
Yes.
are going to be removed,
Yeah.
those guys will fight. And they will fight to make sure those allowances are not removed.
And why don't we just talk about it? Because one of the ways in which Kenyans have thought they are being helped is by the CDF. But personally, I think I've been a member of a BOM somewhere. And that secondary school there, initially we were building a classroom for like 400,000 because it was money that we were collecting, you know, out of the day students.
Yes.
And then the government came in and they started to, the CDF came in to help us to build. Can you imagine the class that the CDF helped us to put up? It was costing 800,000 per one classroom to construct. The one that we were doing for, because there has to be money for this one, money for the other, money for the other. So when we talk about NGC CDF, Yeah. The court has already ruled that is unconstitutional.
Correct.
But we hear voices from the members of parliament saying that they have already structured it in a way that it is now constitutional. I don't know whether you are privy to some of the new structures they are put into place so that now the NGC-CDF can be constitutional.
Let me say, if you follow the judgment that was given, you know, it was for 2015, 2016.
Yes.
So it stayed for some time before
the judgment was passed. The ruling was done. Yeah.
And one of the things that they said, why it is unconstitutional, it is one because of what we call the separation of power in terms of the budgets.
Yeah.
And they are saying we are giving out money, but the accountability of this is not being done in the right way.
Okay.
And these guys, what they have trying to do is actually to try to change, to coin it in a way that it is now like looking like it is constitutional.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, we are waiting for the ruling again.
Yes.
I think there is also going to be a ruling next month. About the same. Now you see there are some people who had appealed. So there are 3 judges who are supposed to give us their understanding of the same thing.
Yes.
But I can say there is really nothing that they have done. They have changed. It is actually the same kind of a thing.
Okay, let's talk about the, you know, the problem with the MP controlling CDF. Please explore it to us. Because there seems to be, he is a man who is calling the shots and he can...
Which is dangerous. This is actually where the problem is. CDF again, and I can say most of the things that were implemented, they were not bad.
Yes.
Just the same way we talked about loan. Even this is CDF is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
If really people did what was meant to be done by the CDF, we should be in a better place.
Yes.
But let me say the problem we have is exactly the first thing that you started by saying. You find the CDF, you are building a classroom.
Yeah.
It is costing 800.
Yes.
I was being told by someone yesterday.
Yes.
This person is actually a contractor. That side of Western Kenya. I wouldn't mention the place.
Of course, yeah.
But there is this gentleman who was given a tender, and he was told from the CDF, put for us 2 classes. And he was being paid, 1 class was going for 1.5 million. Actually even higher than the 800 that you had talked about. This gentleman has a lot of integrity in him. You know what he did? He went and costed all the classrooms.
Yes.
Out of the money they were talking about, they want to pay him the 1.5 per class.
Yes.
2 classes is 3 million. I can tell you for sure, and this is verifiable, it is something which is true. This gentleman went and put 8 classes.
With the same amount.
With the same amount.
Yes.
Not asking for any additional amount. With that 3 million, he was able to get bricks, because you can actually costing, you can get the bricks.
So he did 8.
He did 8 instead of 2. And this gentleman now today, he is actually being called in that area. The people looked at it and they said, this is the kind of a man that we want.
We are looking for.
And you see, the problem is, he did not want to get involved into these kind of, you know, funny things.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I can do things right.
Yes.
And you can see now the wastage. If he was able to do 6 extra classes with the same amount.
Yes.
Another person goes and does 2 classes with the same amount.
Yes.
You can see the kind of wastage that is there in CDF. Because this is one man who is doing it. The other people will just do the 2 classes. So what does that mean? The money that is supposed to be developing the community in terms of school and education, health and all that, it goes to some few pockets.
So what Kenyans are seeing as development through CDF, it's just, you know, like a piecemeal. They are being given piecemeal truths.
True.
And yet the money is being plowed back to the same. Because I also, being a member of that BOM, actually, the money was released to the contractor.
Correct.
But the contractor was supposed to plow back to the MP's office a certain amount of money.
That's what they do.
And you know, that is really what is happening, and that's wastage, essentially what we are talking about.
It is.
And it should be what is a problem with CDF, the way it is.
It is wastage. It is an avenue for corruption. I know many people would not be happy when we are saying this,
Yes.
but there is a lot of corruption in terms of the CDF.
Yeah.
There is lack of integrity, there is lack of honesty,
Yeah.
and this is what is making this not to be very popular.
Yes.
Because I can tell you, every other year, how much money do they get?
Yes.
You know, allowed 137 million every year. Yet we are finding some students who have passed very well. You find them staying at home.
Yes.
So if this money is really helping, some of the families which are struggling with students, with the young ones,
They will not.
who are supposed to go to Form 1, but they actually go now to look after goats because they can't go to class.
Yes.
So why is it that we are getting 137 million, yet we cannot be able to take some few students to school?
Yes. Yes.
So these are the things that we are saying. The money is not being used for the right purpose.
So how do you see it going? How do you see it going when it comes to the CDF? Do you think it's going to be there? Do you think, because I think I had is it the Treasury saying they will not release any money to
Actually, it was even in the news yesterday.
Yes,
They said the same word. It is not constitutional, so they are not going to release the funds.
Yes.
So the only thing that they are hanging on is actually the ruling which is going to come next month.
Yes.
So if, for example, the ruling is again it is not constitutional, then I think the MPs are going to be in a hard place.
And it is good to talk about the spirit of our constitution. The spirit of our constitution is that if you are an accounting officer, there has to be somebody to check on you.
Correct.
So now CDF is lacking these checks.
It is.
So who is checking the CDF?
And now let me tell you, in terms of the checking, there is a big problem.
Big problem.
And that's why, you know, let's say, for example, you find some of the areas, the MP is not even supposed to be there in terms of the CDF. There is supposed to be a committee which actually decides this is what is supposed to happen in this area. And you see from the MCA level and all that, that is where they are supposed to be sitting and actually agreeing this is what this community needs.
Yes.
But right now, as you said, it is actually one man who is saying what happens.
We are building a school.
We are building a school here.
We are building a dam somewhere.
Yes. And after that, the kind of the controls and the measures, they are not there, because sometimes you find you have a brother. You say that this is the man who is going to manage the CDF.
Yes.
You already know it is someone you'll be calling and telling him. You speak your own language.
Yes.
And you tell him, here we need like 10 million.
Yes.
How do we actually structure something to get the 10 million?
Wow. I think time is flying very fast, and we need to talk, because now I think we will not go to another subject today. We will take a short break, but when we return, we need to talk about integrity.
Yes.
Because people are coming into office, and we know some of them are coming into office. We know how much they are worthy, but you will come to find somebody has constructed or is a billionaire or a millionaire, and when we know the salary is not able to do that.
Correct.
And I think because we are talking about the new government and how the Kenyans are able to feel a reprieve, because they are carrying a very heavy burden.
Yes.
I think we need to come and talk about integrity, and I think it's very, very important to this government and to Kenyans. We are taking a short break. We'll be right back.
My English name is Maria Dorati.
Thank you. Say it.
I am brainless.
If you leave this girl will be wayward.
I'll follow you. I rebuke it in Jesus' name.
You still have a lot to learn when it comes to marriage.
How many people will go to school way better for this life?
If you go to school every morning, you have 1,000 naira to yourself.
Calculate 1,000 naira in a month.
30,000.
Hey!
Every time you are frowning this your face like corruption. I don't stay in a house, I stay in a hotel.
Niger Movies from Monday to Thursday from 9:30 p.m. only on EBN TV.
EBN TV brings you Divine Hour. We are transforming the world through the Word of God. Pastors, evangelists, apostles, and teachers of the gospel, a platter in its own right. Be encouraged, enlightened, and enlivened. Join us every Monday to Wednesday from 6 to 6:30 p.m. live on EBN TV.
Okay, we are back. This is the last session of our conversation this morning, and I'm glad that you are watching. We have a new government that is coming into office, and integrity is really a thorny issue in this country. I think some of the burdens that Kenyans are carrying the burdens of corruption, and I want us to deal with something here, because by people getting power, by people getting elected, one of the things that really derails integrity matters in our leaders is the feeling of entitlement to steal, entitlement to stash away this money, entitlement to take money that is not your salary, is not a part of your allowance. And I don't know on integrity where you begin to talk.
Okay, one is our constitution is supreme. For
the constitution is supreme. Yes.
And I think the best starting point is actually to understand what really our constitution speaks about when it comes to integrity. A whole chapter actually is talking about integrity, which is chapter 6 of our constitution, and ethics. And that shows you the importance of integrity. And I can tell you that if we don't have the integrity, we cannot get where we want to go. That is actually what would really drive us to that, because all these things that we were talking about, the wastage, the corruption, if for example we had that iota of integrity in us, you would realize that many things would not happen the way they are happening.
That's right.
One of the things that is in our, actually it is law, and it is something that most of the people try to evade. You are not supposed to get into a public office without declaring your wealth.
Okay, that's where the constitution begins. Okay.
You are supposed actually to declare when you are getting to any position. You come and you declare, this is what I own. And if, for example, after that we are able to see you doing so many other things, and there are things which you did not declare, and we come and we start discovering later on that these things are things you did not actually bring out, or you are actually, you brought out every other thing, but we find that you are getting to a point you are doing so many big things, which when we look at your salary, these things cannot be able to be done by your salaries. You need to explain again, I was in this position, but this is how I got my money to be able to do what I am doing. And this, I think, is whereby we need our government to be very firm. In terms of people declaring their position. So that when an MCA is getting to power, and we know
how much is his wealth.
Correct. How much is his wealth? If, for example, we find that he is building like flats everywhere in the city of Nairobi, we will ask one question. Where did you get these proceeds from?
And does it really, is it followed up? Does anybody check on these leaders? Is it happening in our country?
Let me, in our country, and that is the problem that we have. And we are hoping, and it is a challenge we are throwing to this government. If they are really serious in the things that they have said in their manifesto, it is something that we need to see as a change in Kenyan.
Yes.
Because this, without now doing all those kind of things, we are still going to be at the same place.
Okay.
We start with a new government. It is giving very many promises, but you find at the end of the day, they are not doing exactly that. And I believe if we are going to move forward in this country, this government must be deliberate in terms of ensuring that people account for what they have. Right now, I don't think people account. You are finding that someone was actually not even driving. You know, there are many people who actually get even to the parliament when they did not even have a car.
Yes, I had another one who was housed by a relative when he came for the orientation.
So you can imagine that kind of a person. Within 1 year,
he is building
they
flats.
are building flats which is worth 80 million. Now, the question is, where is this money coming from?
Where does the buck stop? Is it with the president, the leader of this government? Where is it? Who can tame this feeling of entitlement to steal? Because it is what actually we are dealing with. The governor feels he can spend beyond his salary and over and above his emoluments. He can go ahead and pick money. It's like an entitlement. If I'm a governor, I'm allowed to pick money, county money, and spend it on my things. If I'm an MP, I'm entitled to pick the CDF and use it the way I want. If I am if I'm a cabinet secretary, I'm entitled to spend over and above my salary. Who is going to tame this?
I would say that there are structures in this country. If, for example, we can implement, because the issue is, it is not that we are lacking in terms of the structures, which can be able to tame this. In the first place, you see, like the governors, the budget controllers, they always go and they bring a report and they say there has been a misuse in this county. You have seen it in the television all the time. There is some areas you find like this county, they have actually spent this money without even the approval. The question is, once that report comes, there are some institutions which are supposed to be firm and say that, you see, you remember the time they were saying the small fish and the big fish. So they must now get to know everyone is a Kenyan, whether you are big or whether you are small. You find that the codes are almost like for the people who are small fish. The big fish, they buy their freedom. So what happens is, I believe the structures are there. We need a presidency which is going to say, I am not going to interfere with these results. Let the institution take the cost. It may be your best friend, but if they are found being corrupt, you don't actually start on the way.
And do you see the new president doing this? Do you see see the new president putting his feet down? Because one of the accusations we had all the time is the accusation of a lame duck president who talks about things going wrong and nothing is corrected. It's like he has no power.
Well, from the point where I sit and how I know the current president, unless he changes, he is not what people think he is. He is one man who can stand on an issue and actually move with it, whether it is popular or not popular. And I think, and I want to see his presidency, his government. I think he is one man, I am quite sure that he is not what people have been thinking he is. And he is going to be able to stand on some issues. And even, let me tell you, the people who are going to have it hard, leveraged, is actually the member of parliament, the governors, all these people. Actually, the people who are working in his government, they are going now to toe the line in one way or another. It is something that I am very sure about. We will come here another time and we analyze whether things are happening or not.
Because the other day, people were saying that he is an hands-on man.
Yes, by the way, he understands. Can I tell you one of the things, if you want really to see what kind of a man he is? He is one man who had to go on the ground most of the counties. He
Yes.
knows what every county requires.
He has those charters.
He has the charters. He knows
Yes.
what women requires. He
Yeah.
also have the people with disability they require.
Yeah.
So he is a man who understands exactly what needs to be done at one particular area.
Yes.
And therefore, I can tell you,
Mm.
I have been following him for some time.
Mm.
He is a man who has the will and the energy.
Yeah.
And he wants to do things right.
Yes.
And that is one of the challenge. And I know he is going to prove to quite a number of people that he is not the kind. You know, there are so many names when you are doing campaign. People call
Yeah.
you names. But I can tell you, there is one area where people are going to feel it.
Yeah.
He is going to tell people, look, this is the direction to take. In terms of integrity, this is the direction to take. And I know he is going to put his foot down.
You know, I heard him say that he himself will also pay taxes.
Yes, he does.
Yeah.
He said.
That tells you that he's ready to take it
That
on.
is the thing.
Yeah.
That is the thing.
Yeah.
You see, when he talks like that, he is saying here, look, I'm not saying that I don't have businesses. I have them.
Yeah.
But even my businesses must be above board.
Yes.
Therefore, if, for example, me, I'm above board, why should be my member of parliament not be above board?
Yes.
Why should be a governor not be above board?
Yes.
Why should a businessman not be above board? And therefore, that's why I'm saying, from what I know and what I think,
Yes.
and it is something to be tested within some few days, you will hear some people complain.
So he's going to enforce it.
He has the capacity. I
Yes.
think he is one man who has the capacity to start on something.
Yes.
And well, however much the noise you make, he's one man, even if you make a lot of noise.
Yes.
When he takes a start,
You
and
can
he
do
knows
nothing
it is the
else.
right.
Yeah.
Look at like when
At,
the BBI.
The BBI at
Bombas.
Bombas. He stood alone.
You keep on
And
shouting
he was
at him.
booed by everybody, yes, and
you
he took a
boo
stand.
him, you shout, you do what? He'll tell you, hold on.
And he said, my friend, reggae will stop.
Correct.
And it is stopped.
It stopped.
Yeah.
By the way, he is one man who goes against.
Yeah.
And when he goes against, you find that whether it is a powerful, is a very strong force, he is able to wither that kind of a force. And therefore, I think we are at a good place.
Yeah.
If he can maintain who he is and not to be swayed, I think quite a number of areas you'll see quite a change.
Okay, okay. Now, one of the areas where there's a lot of wastage is at the county offices. And in fact, it's amazing that not only even the governor himself, leave alone, I'm not saying some were not involved, but you find very junior officers of the county, like clerks in the county, building flats. I want you to delve in there and talk about integrity in that place. And if the governor does not want things to be done right, do you think there is any way the government will come in and rein on the governor and his workers and staff?
Actually, I will start with the final one. The government has the capacity to do that, because as we say, there are structures, there are people who audit and look at the books. And when an auditor comes, you cannot say that they are not going to audit. So we always fight those reports. And therefore, that one, in terms of the auditing, it will be done and the issues can be brought out. And when the auditors, they bring the issues, they bring them to the right offices. And that's where to whip. You can actually whip from that, and you say, let me give an example. There is one governor in Kisii, the one who used to be actually a member of parliament here in Nairobi, Alati, Siba Alati. This man, he has gone to the county, and he is one other man that people did not really take him that serious. He has gone to the county, and he has actually said, look, we want to audit this county.
This county.
And he goes and he finds there are so many ghost workers. And this man says, this has to stop. He goes and he finds the vehicles which are actually in the county are very few.
350.
Others are
and the
not
drivers
operational.
are 800.
So you see those kind of wastage, that's where we are saying. You see, like now, where does the bus stops? It is actually with the governor in terms of that region. And the governor has stood Actually, many people are getting worried.
Yeah.
And that's why we are saying, like now, for example, the clerks and all those people.
Yeah.
They were used to some regimes whereby they can be told, like the way when you fight the police, maybe in an area they are told, in the evening, I want 2,500. So it is yours to know how you are going to get that money. So it is like the corruption is an agreed kind of a thing from bottom to the top.
It's institutionalized.
But I am happy I'm finding some few people coming out. And assessing what is happening and being able to start and say, well, look, you are not going to drive me towards that direction. And that's why we said by saying, everybody, even the clerks, they need to declare their wealth. If, for example, we find their lifestyle is changing dramatically, we need to ask some few questions. How did you change your lifestyle this way?
And but also the question is, how does a junior staff of in a county have access to millions and millions of money unless the governor is allowing it?
Correct.
And you know, corruption is really very wicked, because if the governor wants to maybe steal like 50 million, he will use somebody to withdraw the money. But the person will not withdraw 50, he will withdraw 80. So, and the governor, because they know the governor has taken the money, the governor has no more authority to ask the junior. So I think that is
true. Actually, that is actually, you see, they talked about the corruption devolved, you know.
Devolved corruption.
It has been devolved even into those areas. And it is a dangerous position. And that's why you're saying it is not one person. In the county, if you find there is stealing, actually it is bottom to the top. Which is quite unfortunate. And I feel it is actually that lifestyle audit is actually something that should be done. And if it is done, several people will be able, and I would just urge even the people who are actually, don't be used, don't be misused. Because as you have said it very well, the governor's name will not appear. The name that will appear is the name of the person down here. So sometimes you even take the governors to court and they are asking you, show me the proof. I have never taken any money. Yet the money was being taken by a junior and has always been taken to him. And when he is given the money, they don't sign anywhere. So it becomes, and that is one of the weaknesses in terms of our law. Because you see, sometimes you may have a very good case, but you lose because in terms of you being able to prove, you are not able to prove beyond any reasonable doubt that this is exactly what happened. And those are the advantages that the governors are taking into possession. But I believe we can actually be able to get out of this if we can emphasize in terms of lifestyle audit.
Finally, as we finish, talking about conflict of interest. And I really want you to give it some consideration, where governors do business with the county government, but by proxy. You see, by proxy. And also senior government officials doing business with the government, the national government, but by proxy, because they have got registered companies, some owned by wives and sons and all that. There's one governor that was taken to court together with his wife and I think mothers-in-law. Everybody was taken. I really want you to look at that when it comes to conflict of interest as they go into office.
Actually, again, you know, like that conflict of interest, I think the problem we have in Kenya is implementation. Because actually, in terms of the codes and ethics of this country,
in the constitution,
in the constitution, it is already very clear, well established, that you cannot actually be trading with any. How can actually you are the government and you are trading just like any other person is trading? So it becomes a bit of a problem. And I feel in terms of this, that is where we are saying the level of integrity is very low. And as you are saying, it's true. You find that the governors and the people who are in power, they are actually, you know, the thing is, they have the benefit of knowing what needs to be done. And therefore, they form the briefcase companies, and they bring them because they know. And they know you are supposed to present 3 quotations. They bring 3 quotations. One from the brother-in-law, another one from a sister, another one
and
from...
just the same and the same
the
person.
same thing. And then now, when you go now looking at, did you get 3 quotes? It passes. I got the 3 quotes. Did you give award to the lowest? Yes, I awarded to the lowest. But you are awarding to yourself. And I would say it is something that really needs to stop. If, for example, the deputy president will go with what he said, you know, he actually tackled that earlier, that question that you have asked. He tackled it just another day. And he went on air and he said, look, I am the deputy president of this country. One thing I have done, and he said that I'm just repeating his words. He said, I have some companies, and what I have done is that I have given the companies to my son. He said it, and he said what I have told him, I don't want him to work even with government. Let him go and work with private companies. That is one thing he has put
to deal with the conflict of interest.
So what he...
And the head of state should also do that.
The statements he was making actually is exactly what you are asking. How do we deal with this conflict? He has come to the open and he has said, there is a capacity I can also be given some tenders by the position I'm in. But I have actually given out these companies and given instructions that my son, I don't want you to be involved in the government matters. Be involved in the private. So this is something I think is a good indication. It's a good starting point. What we want to see is that let him also allow the audit to be done. Which contracts have you gotten? Are they touching on government? And I think if we can go that direction, we will be actually...
Don't you think it's a little bit very tricky for some of the people coming into office, because some of them have been in business before and now they are in office, and the temptation is always there.
It is high. The temptation is very high. But I think if we are serious in terms of managing and driving this country into the right direction, we must get to a place whereby we say, look, every Kenya is entitled. If it is a contract and you are doing something, if, for example, it is surprise, let me give you a very good example. You are a farmer. I know you have been farming. And, there are things that you can sell even to the government in terms of, you see, like now, Kenya Wildlife. They actually ask for a lot of tenders for food. And therefore, what needs to happen is that you as a farmer, if you are producing in large scale, you should also be able to go and supply to Kenya Wildlife. So those are the things that really need to be done. And you see now what they really need to do. There is a lot of temptation, but allow other people also to be able to
but also, something. Don't you think at the same time we should qualify, and this is the last thing we are saying, we should also qualify that not every relative of the deputy is getting favors from the government, because also there's a way now you see somebody can be in office and it begins to be alleged that, you know, even he has relatives who are, and they were still doing business even when he was not deputy or he was not governor or when he was not. How do you qualify that without jeopardizing integrity?
You see, we are not really saying that they cannot do business.
Relatives.
Because relatives can also do. Because actually one of the things is, my brother even right now, and myself, we do very many different things. He has his own companies. I have my companies. You have your companies. Your brother has what they do. So sometimes it is actually there is something that we call legal entity. Legal entity tells you, you are actually an individual by yourself. You are like, you know, you are legally yourself. Actually, there are things you are different in one way or another. So what we are saying is not that we are saying that relatives should not work. or even we are saying that let it be above board. If, for example, I have gotten a tender, let me get a tender without inducement. Because what happens is that there is a lot of other things, which are being done, dirty things. And because we are talking about integrity, I would say that let the person who has the best quality, the best price, and the person who ought to win wins. If, for example, my brother wins, and I am actually in that organization, they win, and they have won because they are in that business and they have done things right. I think there is no big issue. The only issue is don't actually do it in a way that it is favoring you. Because, and I know that that kind of a thing is what is really bringing a problem. Because you are given a lot of information. Some of the people even what they do, the funny thing, and that's why you find some people take the tenders the last minute. You know what they do? Some of the people, they get to say, well, there is a tender. There are 3 people who have quoted. This one has quoted this much. This one has quoted this much. And what do? They tell you, quote a little bit lower, like this. So those are the issues we are saying. It is a problem. Because you are actually now not giving the other people an opportunity. You are actually doing funny things to favor this. If, for example, you do it right, you just quote like any other person, you get it through the competitive bidding, I think with that, there will not be an issue. And that's why you'll see even the wastage will not be there. Because it is the best person who has won.
All right. Well, dear Kenyans, I think we are very optimistic that the new leadership that is coming into office will do justice for all Kenyans, will alleviate the living standards of Kenyans, and will relieve heavy burdens, Kenyans from heavy burdens, and we will see prosperity. That is our prayer. And it begins with some of the things that we have been conversing here. Anyone that has watched this video or anyone that has been with us, we really want to hear your comments, and maybe by next time when we come to begin this program, we will begin by reading some of your views and comments that you have sent to us. So make sure you leave a comment and say something about the conversation of today. One more time, thank you so much, David Kamau, for being here. And I think I feel like we are not bringing another guest until you help us to answer all the questions, because I feel really you are in touch with the matters the way they are. Thank you so much for being here.
Anytime leverage, I'll be available.
And you are welcome.
Thank you.
Asante sana.
Thank you.
God bless you. And my dear viewer, we end it there. This was a Leadership Challenge show here on EBN TV. God keep you and give you peace until we meet again. Bye-bye.